What is up, my dudes? Welcome back to the channel. If you have one of these pre-1986, I believe, square body Chevys, they came with wipers on the dash itself, not on the column. It may not seem like a big deal, but I live in Washington, and as everybody knows, Washington rains all the time. Except for now, at least. I'm constantly leaning forward and turning the wipers on, and then turning them back off. Super annoying. So, if I had column-mounted wipers, that would be awesome. So basically, what we're going to be doing is kind of a Frankenstein where I mix and match the parts from these two guys, make sure that they line up with what I have now, and making a steering column that works for us. Because if you ever look online, you can find refurbished ones, or you can go to LMC Truck and get one. Problem is, those are super expensive. So if you can restore one and make it work for you, more power to you. Alright. So since this is our main guy, let's start taking things apart. Okay, so we got it out. I'm a little worried because everywhere I set this guy down, we got rust that just falls out the bottom of it. So there might be a lot more cleaning to this one and restoration than I anticipated, but either way, it's totally okay. Now we're gonna take off the electrical components, get these rods out, and then just strip this as far down as we can. So now that we have this plastic cover off, we have to deal with the locking plate. Get that off so we can get all the stuff up top on the steering column out. And then we'll be able to get everything else off. Alright, we got the steering wheel lock plate tool so we can finally get back to work. It's definitely doable without this tool if you have a buddy with you. But it's far, far easier if you just have the tool. Screws on here. Already has my blood on it. Now that we got this guy on here, we're just gonna tighten up this bottom nut. It's gonna push down this lock plate. This lock plate is what makes it so that your steering wheel doesn't turn once you lock the vehicle, take the key out. Okay, now that we got that ring from there to there, very slowly we'll undo this, because it is on a spring and we don't want it launching into our face. 20 bucks. Totally worth it. Well, it definitely takes some caressing. Finally got this guy off. Alright, well, I got it torn down basically until its last pieces. There's a special pin remover tool for this guy right here, and they didn't have it at my auto parts store. I keep going back and forth on whether I want to take it all the way apart right up here or not, but I've got it at this point, I might as well do it right if I can. If you notice, there's rust absolutely everywhere. Every time I set this guy down, it's like it just rust falls out of it. So I'm gonna have to clean all that stuff up. There's a lot of moving parts in the tilt mechanism here, and there's bearing grease and all that stuff to keep things moving right, but there's also little pieces of rust in there. So if I can get it taken off, if I can find that tool, then we're gonna do it that way. And if I can find the tool, I'm gonna make sure to link it in the description so that you guys can find it also. But until that comes in, we're kind of stuck where we're at. So I'm just gonna clean up all the rust that is everywhere, organize, and call it a day.
Found it. So was able to find it on Amazon. I'll make sure to put that link in the description there. I'm a little spoiled. I had to wait more than a couple days for it to come here because it was not Amazon Prime. Sometimes you just got to be a little bit on the patient side. It's kind of a funky looking tool, but it's going to get off the pins for this guy. After a bunch of debate amongst myself, I realized I already have it stripped down as much as I do. It would be counterintuitive to not strip it down as much as I can to clean it up as much as possible. So I'm gonna take it apart even more using this guy. There's instructions on the back on how to use it, and I've never used one of these before, so we're just gonna have to, you know, figure it out and get this sucker off. So let's do that. That was kind of weird. It says to have these washers up here, but if the washers are up there, they don't do anything. Yeah, that's weird. I'm gonna do it different than however this is explaining it, because I don't want to spin a nut on this puller if I ever have to use it again. So definitely not doing it that way. Alright, so the key thing with it is you only finger tighten the actual pin remover until it's tight, because eventually you have to get that guy back off there. There we go. Alright. Probably should have done this in reverse, but we gotta get this guy out. And I've seen some people take a screwdriver and pop it off that way, but this is pretty soft, and it looks like if I do it that way, it's just gonna round out. So I'm gonna have to get creative, and I'll probably do that off camera, see how I get it off, and then I'll inform you whether I'm successful or not in the end. Alright guys, so here's what I did. Took a little file, and then I filed some grooves in there. That way, on the corners, that way when the screwdriver goes in there, it actually bites. And then all it is a push pin. So, just take that screwdriver and pop that spring out. And that is actually what holds the tension for your tilt. So, now that we have that out, there's just a couple more things we got to do so we can get this cover off. Alright, the more we mess with it, the more things just kind of come off. Like these two little pieces going over the bearings. And it wants to come off, but we're getting bound up on this side here. So I gotta figure out what that is. Alright, so we gotta get the pin out for that lock actuator. I already kind of tapped it out from the other side, so now we're just gonna pull my guy out. Man, everything on here is nice and coated, but it's gonna be a pain when we clean everything. So I'm hoping that in so doing, you'll start getting some crap out of here. Oh, we're losing some ball bearings. We're gonna make sure we keep all those safe. just in case there's any more ball bearings. Oh! I'll tell you guys about this little bolt in a little bit. But the fact that it just popped out of there, it's not making me feel any better about what's going on. There's another one. Definitely not a good sign. So apparently I was wrong. Who would have thought, you know, doing this your first time, you know exactly how to do it. I gotta put this guy in. Back in, I guess. That was a lot easier than I thought it would be. Yeah, apparently you have to simultaneously rotate the ignition while pushing up on the tilt. And that's how you get this guy to come on. So let's see if we can make that happen. That was definitely something. Oh. Just looking at everything on the inside here, there's rust all embedded inside the bearings and the grease and everything. So we're gonna deep clean all of this. Then we have those two Torx bits that fell out. These guys right here, that's actually what keeps this nice and secure when you're when you have a tilt column, and those just fell out, which is not a good sign. So once we get this guy off, which apparently you just pop it off like that, once we take them out, because even the ones that are in there are super loose, we're gonna be putting some Loctite on there, because I'm never ever taking this apart again. So let's get that done. Oh my goodness. Let's see if even one of these was secure. Yep, one is secure. Alright, these are also a Torx bit, so you gotta get a special Torx bit to get them off. Alright, got my 1/4" Torx bit. Let's get this last one out of here. Yeah, it wasn't even secure. So, if you ever get slop in your tilt steering column, this is where it's coming from. This is going to be so much fun putting all this back together. I can already tell. How long is this thing? Oh, jeez. So much relief. Well, we got it out. I kind of just asked myself, I wonder what'll happen if I bang on this with a hammer. And it worked. So, we got that part out. And I think we'll be able to get everything else off now. Hopefully. We'll see. Oh, there's that. There's that. So, the inner shaft we were able to get out. The outer shaft is stuck right here. We've got a pin holding us in on either side. Might have to remove that to get this out. So that's what we're looking at now. So yeah, that definitely was a pin. So we got that guy off. And now, aha! Look at that. Alright. And we got this guy. I don't know if that should be bent or not. Eh. Cool. Alright, with what we're looking at here, this outer shaft that we see rotating here is connected to this guy here. And I didn't see a sleeve or anything on there to pull that off. And I don't want to bend it at all, so we're gonna put some WD-40 on there, see if that works. See if I can ease it off, but at this point I don't know if we'll be able to get that shaft out of here, because that's all that stands in the way for us. So let's see if we can make something happen. Aha! Alright, so I don't know if I set it up right, but there's a sleeve in there and we were actually able to pry this guy off, which means now on this side we have the outer shaft disassembled. We have everything disassembled. I seriously cannot stress enough how many individual tiny pieces there are in just this steering column. But I'm glad that we were able to get everything undone, because now cleaning the parts individually is kind of therapeutic. So I'm gonna make sure to clean everything, and then we actually get to start putting things back together. Super excited for that.